the time has come for more words of wisdom and moments of meditation. So without further ado, coming to the WAPJ airwaves, ladies and gentlemen, it's the one and only T-Boz. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Williams, and thank you again for having me on. And there are some people in the classroom who really like the new hairstyle that you're sporting out and about. So those of you who'll be over later to answer questions, sign autographs, come on in, everyone. Plenty of seats up front. Everybody wants to sit in the back, Jock. Come on in. The ceiling's painted. All the repair work's done. The couches are back up against the window. Come on in. Sit down. Relax. It's Friday Eve, as Jock has renamed this day. And, wow, look at all the new faces. Yeah, George, more pens and down the hall in the closet. Okay, good. So we have a lot of ground to cover today, and Jock has been doing a wonderful job of saluting the Normandy battle that helped us have the independence and be able to speak on the radio like we do here at WAPJ. And we want to bow our heads for a moment today for all of the men and women who sacrificed not only in World War II, but all the wars, but today especially, that make this country as great as it is. Is it perfect? No, but that's our job to make it better. And we're a work in progress, like we are a work in progress, and that's what this show is about. And before we get rolling, want to welcome some new listeners. We got Dave out in Farmington, my good friend Dave, Diana out in Unionville, she's a new listener, and Mike, who's on the Northwest Transit bus. He listens on the bus, and he loves the show, and he's a new listener there. Shout out to Alicia. She does the Alternative Anthem show here on Saturday mornings. Great show if you went to high school, college in the 80s. And her son's name is Brett Landy, and he is graduating Gilbert High School tomorrow, so we congratulate him. And I'll tell you, Jock, over there at Alicia's house, they had a wedding last week. They got a graduation this week. All they need is a bar mitzvah, a christening, and winning the Kentucky Derby. They'll have it all over there. So great stuff there. And I just want to promote two shows as well. Chris Canfield, My Country Place, Saturday morning right after Alicia. Great country music. And back by popular demand, Barry Sushi, who used to do the miscellaneous morning show with Holly Pons. He's doing every other Friday, so he'll be on tomorrow. Great guy, very knowledgeable with music, plays your requests, and just a super guy. So we just want to welcome him back. And now we have an assignment. Everybody's like, assignment. I knew we were going to have an assignment. Here's the assignment for next week's show. We're going to salute Father's Day with fathers, and I want everyone, who want to participate, get these things into my phone by, you can sit over here, it's fine. Get these things into my phone by Monday night at 8 o'clock. And here's the thing about your dad. Remember the show Match Game with Gene Rayburn? What I want you to fill out, what I want you to do, here's the assignment, is either two things. My dad loved blank, or my dad taught me blank. I don't want Texas, my father worked hard. Okay? I want to know who your father was. I don't want to know what he did. Because it's who he was, and we're going to talk about that today, how he impacted you, and then you impact the world is what matters. What they did for a living and the fact that they worked hard is not to the core or the heart of what they did. All the dads, I'm sure, in this room here, and the parents of these people here, all worked and provided and put a roof over their head. And that's admirable. But I want the show to have a little special meaning. So you could either do my father loved blank. Could be fishing. It doesn't always have to be my father loved the family and stuff. We know that. But, maybe your father loved fishing and he coached some, a fishing team in school and he impacted a kid's life or something. All right. So this, something like that. Or my father taught me blank. And they can't be 5 pages long. Try to encapsulate things to be maybe 2 or 3 lines. So get those in by Monday, 8 o'clock, because I write at night. I write the show on Tuesday, and I want to have everything in because we usually get about 17 or 18 people that participate with this, and then the show moves kind of quickly. So my father taught me blank, or my father loved blank. All right, so get those in, and we'll have a great show. and we'll really get to know the dads. And by knowing the dads, guess what? We're going to get to know you. Over to Dads of Dads, Stan, the coffee man. Look at him over there. And he's got his Yankee hat on. Yeah, and the Yanks are in first place, 49 wins. Very good, very good. So what do we got in the pot, Stan? Breakfast blend. Oh, a nice basic thing, easy to pronounce. And we have, of course, it's June, strawberry shortcake. Look at this thing. And it's sugar-free. Fantastic. And who is sponsoring the refreshment table today, Stan? Wow, the Warner Theater. Isn't that nice of them? So a great place here in town. Actually, you're going to be there at the end of the month for the Motown Review. I think there's still tickets on sale, but we thank the Warner Theater for sponsoring the dessert table. And everyone can come on up as the show is on or afterwards. And like I said, Jock will be over to delve into the strawberry shortcake, the coffee, and the tea and everything Stan has over there. So thank you, Stan, for always volunteering and doing that. All right, we're going to start the show. Let's go over to our format. A gal called in, or texted in a question. We're still getting ripples from the show about emotional healing and all this stuff, which is fine. It's okay. And so she had a question about mercy, about God's mercy, all right? And is mercy available to people who are evil, people who commit wrong things? We're going to go right to 3 scripture read. I'm going to go right through them very quick and then analyze them, and then we'll get into the body of the show. All right, God's mercy. Here we go. Hebrews chapter 10, verse 19 to 22. St. Paul says, I am convinced that neither death nor life nor the future, okay, neither angels or demons or the present time nor depths or anything can separate us from the love of God. So Paul tells us, you can pile them up, anything you want. Nothing means nothing can separate us from the love of God, and love is mercy. The next one we look at real quick, James chapter 5, verse 11. The Lord is full of compassion and mercy. It says full of. It doesn't say has a little bit of. He's full of. And then we look at the last one, Deuteronomy, going all the way back in the beginning of the Bible, chapter 4, verse 31. The Lord your God is a merciful God. And he will not abandon you. He will not destroy you. He will not forget you, because he made an oath. An oath is even stronger than a promise, an oath with your forefathers. So we have 3 readings there that basically say what? Yes. And I know a lot of you are scratching your head. What about Adam Lanza? What about Hitler? What about Saran? What about all these? Boys and girls, I've got good news for you. God's mercy is available to all of them. Because if his mercy isn't available to the very least of us, I hate to say that, but then it's not available to us. Boom. Doesn't mean that what these horrible things these people do are excused. But if Hitler, before, however he died, poisoned or whatever, I don't remember, or before bin Laden got assassinated, if at that moment they truly repent in their heart of what they've done was wrong, they'll be shaking your hand in heaven. That's the kind of God. We have a God, we talk about war. Instead of sending boys in, which they have to do that, I'm not against that. Our general, our God, Jesus, he told all of us, you guys stay behind the lines, and I'll go and fight the foe. And he nailed himself to a cross. And if he wasn't crucified, it's been said that Jesus would have spent eternity in hell for you, so that you could have peace in heaven. So God's mercy for this person who asked is available to all. Now, I know that is a hard thing for you guys to comprehend, but our faith is a high bar. It's not a low bar. It's a high bar. And if you really want to do the faith, you've got to learn that you have to dig deep in yourself and understand these principles. God's mercy, as Paul says, neither demons or angels or principalities or the depth of this or wind, rain, doesn't matter. Nothing can separate us from the love of God. And a lot of you are carrying guilt around from things from childhood or adulthood. I talked about not talking to my father for a year, and you got that rock around your neck, and you're wasting your time because nothing you did, nothing is going to separate you from the love of God. That's the kind of God we have. He went to the enemy lines and paid the price for us. He didn't send us in to pay the price for ourselves. I hope that answers your question. And now we're going to get into the bottom. Thank you. Please send in questions. You know, this show is not browbeating you down and say, you got to believe like me. You have a question, send it in, and I'll do my best to answer it. And if it doesn't answer properly, that's fine. You guys have a right to agree or disagree with what you hear on this show. This show is presenting principles. You take what you want. We call it the grocery store approach. All right, so let's look at the body of the work. Today's topic is going to be about helping people, and we're going to go right to John 15:13, two interesting numbers for me. And this goes with what Jock was talking about today with Normandy. Okay, it says, greater love has known. Yeah, can't read my handwriting now. There is no greater love than when one lays down his life for another. Boom. And that's just what Jock has been talking about. Now, how does that apply to us in terms of helping people? We don't have to run in front of a chain or a speeding bullet, okay? But laying down our life, I'll talk about my friend Barbara a little bit, is remembering people, helping people, you know, maybe giving up some time or giving up some money or sacrificing a weekend to do something with someone. That's what it means by laying down life for another. There is nothing greater than when one lays down his life for another person. And we can do that in simple ways, you know, maybe giving someone a ride. Like my friend Jim, I needed a ride to Square Dance Monday, and, you know, he maybe tuned his hours a little bit. He could be home a little earlier. I got in the car, the Mustang, it was a nice ride down Route 4. All right, and he had to come back, have dinner. You know, it was a little bit of a sacrifice, a little bit of a tweak, but that's a way of laying down life for another and helping other people. Romans chapter 15, verse 1, we who are strong, probably most of the people in this room, or to bear with others who are weak. And we've about that for a few weeks now, right? So we could be weak of heart. We could be weak of finances. We could be someone not knowing where they're going, and like could be a teenage person saying, you know, what's my next step? Like we just talked about Brett, right? And he's all excited about graduating high school. We know what that's like. And all of a sudden, by the end of the summer, you're like, uh-oh, you know, I'm not going to be with the guys anymore and the people that I know. And so there might be a weakness, and he may rely on his mother for guidance, okay? So that's a weakness. It doesn't mean weak because you can't get off the ground, but weakness. So we want to be there for those people. There's a teaching in the church, and it's being taught wrong, sorry, and it talks about, and it's this Bible quote from Mark chapter 12, verse 30 and 31. It says, love your neighbor as you love yourself. And a lot of people say, well, if you can't love yourself and accept who you are, then you can't love other people. Wrong. What that verse is talking about is this. We love ourselves. How? Because we think about our situations and our lives. We think about our kids. We think about our health. We think about our finance. We think about the house. We think about our businesses. We think about our money. We think about our lunch. We think about our fishing trip. All through the day, even though you're doing businesses or you have your career or like Jock's doing the radio show, but in your mind, like he's doing the thing for June 19th, in your mind, you're always concerned, and that's okay. That's the love we're talking about. We're not talking about romantic love and candlelight dinners, okay? You're always thinking about yourself, all right? You're concerned, maybe not worried, but you're thinking, what about the kids? What about the grandchildren? What about the dog? You know, and you're thinking about yourself. That's love of self. That's okay. But what this verse is really talking about is love your neighbor as yourself. Take that same thinking and apply it to others. Boom. In other words, what is their day like? What are their grandchildren doing? What is their son like? Like I just talked about my friend Jim, right? In other words, he thinks about himself, I'm sure his business, but he thought about me needing a ride to get to the Square Dance thing And so he thought about someone else. So what love your neighbor as yourself is that same passion that you have for your life, that same concern that you have for your family, apply it to other people, okay? And then through that, we begin to turn our lives around. Hebrews chapter 13, verse 16 says, and do not forget to do good and to share with others with such sacrifice. It pleases God. And I think, okay, I'm going to talk about the pancakes. I talk about Barbara. All right. As some of you know, I was in a relationship for quite a while, and I learned to love English pancakes, which are pancakes made American style, but then with brown sugar and orange juice instead of syrup with blueberries. Okay, I loved it. Well, things changed. The pancakes were gone. I had mentioned this in talking, even when she and I were together. So about 3 weeks ago, Barbara shows up here at the farm, knocks on the door. And I said, what do you do? It's a Sunday morning, because we used to have the pancakes on Sunday. And she goes, here, these are frozen pancakes, because they don't want me using a stove, right? These are frozen pancakes. You could put them in the microwave for 3 or 4 minutes. Then you could put your brown sugar. You could put the orange juice. Not that you're looking backward, and then you could have what you learn to love. We meet people along the way. They teach us things, and sometimes those things we enjoy, right? There's nothing wrong with that. That's what it means by love your neighbor as yourself. Because though Barbara has a lot in her own family life, right, and her nieces who just lost their mother out in West Hartford, and all the things that she is dealing with herself, loving your neighbor as yourself, she knew about the pancakes, so she sacrificed, as it just said in Hebrews, and she made time to go to the store, lay down your life for another. She didn't jump in front of a train, but went to the store, got the pancakes, brought them here, showed me what to do, and I've been having blueberry pancakes with brown sugar and orange juice. Sometimes doing good for people could be something that small. Yes, there's Americans. Yes, there's culture for a cause. Those things are good too. But sometimes we miss the thinner slice, as the group Air Supply says. The best part of life is the thinner slice. So sometimes we miss helping our blind friend with pancakes. And then sometimes when you're doing those things, guess what? Barbara's also involved in bigger community efforts. Let's go with 11:32, Mr. Williams. I'm 2 minutes over, but I know you were signing autographs, so let's hit the sponsors.
We want to thank you for tuning in to the show today, and we also want to thank our sponsors for allowing us to bring you the quality community radio programming that you're listening to at this time. We want to invite you, especially on Thursdays for our local and live edition. If you're a business, artist, venue, a person of interest, and you want to blast off to let everyone know what you're doing, what you're up to, and what you're all about, then indeed, Thursdays is your day to make it happen right here on the Feel Good Show. And with that being said, we'll return the show back over to T-Boz for more words of wisdom and moments of meditation.
Thank you, Jock. And by the way, the Mets are in 4th place. So there you go. But Jock is a big Yankee fan, and I can see from across the street he's got I don't know where he gets all this Yankee paraphernalia. He's got more Yankee clothes than Carter has liver pills. But you got to be our age to understand that. But 1st place Yankee. Here's another thing, what keeps us frigid and we don't move when it comes to helping people, all right? Never doubt your significance to help people, okay? Never doubt. A lot of times we don't help people because we doubt our own ability to help them. We doubt our own talent. You don't have to be Donny Osmond or Bob Hope to help somebody. Don't doubt your significance. I keep talking about Barbara the pancake. I talked about Jim with the ride. Those are as important as when you volunteer for AmeriCares or downtown stuff. I mean, that Strawberry Festival was fabulous downtown, and WAPJ had their booth. And I want to thank Alicia again. She took me all around. She introduced me to the gang there because I can't see. She kind of showed me where I was going. George by the door, there he is, helped me to the men's room. That's what they're talking about, laying down one life for another. That's significant. That's impacting people's lives. The kingdom of God is at hand. And it's at hand when you put out your hand and help somebody. We look at Robert Ingersoll, and he says this, we rise by lifting others up. So we become better people. We become the people that God wants us to be. We become important to the community, the society around us, not by us waving our own checkered flag, but by helping someone up. Let's use the airplane analogy, right? Stan's nodding his head. He likes this because he worked for the airlines. TWA, Trans World Airlines. Remember them? An airplane. You know how an airplane gets off the ground? It's drag versus pull. In other words, the plane is going so fast, you guys probably noticed that all the pressure is released off the top of the wing, which then increases the pressure under the wing. Once you have lift and that plane is in the air, it'll never come down until they start turning those baffles. I talked to a pilot the other day in an Uber ride. That thing, once it lifts, it's up there. We can be like that. We could take the pressure off of people, like the wind off the top of the wing, maybe by encouraging them, maybe sit and listening to them, okay? There's a lot of people nodding in this room looking at me who've been listening to me for a while, okay? Listening to people, not jumping down their throat. So we could have moved that pressure, maybe helping with a financial thing, maybe giving someone a job for a couple of days, and whatever it is, right? So we could remove that pressure on top of the wing and then support. When we understand someone, that means to get under and lift. We could be that pressure under by sticking with them, following them through. We talked about Alicia's son as he's making decisions, first year of college, trade school, whatever he's going to do. Checking in with him, see if he's on track. So like the airplane, and what happens? You go right back to what Ingersoll said, lift. So the same way, once that plane goes up, we could use that same analogy in people's lives. We don't have to be superstars. Don't doubt your significance. Stop telling yourselves, I'm pointing the finger at me too, that we're not talented enough or not good enough to impact someone's life. The reason why I'm a public speaker is because when I was 8 years old, I used to go to church by myself in Long Island. Okay, you could walk there now too. It's a very nice neighborhood. And I was a member of St. Aidan's Church in Long Island, New York, Williston Park, right? And there was a priest there named Father Mott, like the applesauce. He was a big guy. And I used to go and sit all the way up front by myself. And I was amazed at this guy. I didn't even know what he was saying half the time, but he just captured me with the way he spoke and the way the inflections in his voice and all of that. He didn't know what he was doing. He figured it was just giving a homily, but he was impacting an 8-year-old Tommy Bozzi in Williston Park, Long Island, 11596, the zip code, right? He was impacting because it was that priest that I said, excuse me, I want to do this. I thought I wanted to be a priest. That didn't work out. But when I trace my seed back to why I like to talk, speak in public, and inspire and motivate, it goes right back to Father Mott. So don't doubt your significance. You don't know whose lives you're touching. And everyone in this room is part of the varsity squad, okay? That one guy shaking his head. Why are you saying no? Because you can't sing? Don't worry about it if you can't sing. He's just being funny with it. All right, we got good people in this room, Chuck. All right, here's the next statement. We want to be more, all right? More, not that we're not enough, but God has more for us and more for us to be. So here's my question. Who are you becoming? Oh, hey, Boz, I'm 66 years old. No, you're not dead. You're still moving. You're still becoming. Who are you becoming? Goes right back to our Father's Day question. It's not what are you becoming, but who you are becoming. When we face Jesus one day, he's going to say, who do you say that I am? And he's not going to hold the balance sheet with how many masses you went to or how many candles you lit. But who did you become? That's why it goes right back to our Father's Day thing. I want to know who your father was. I don't care if he was the vice president of Colgate-Palmolive. I don't care if he owned his own business. I had a grandfather that worked hard. The only problem was he drank too much alcohol and he beat my grandmother into the ground. How my father raised us in the Leave It to Beaver world, I'll never know. But I said this on Facebook. The greatest gift my father ever gave me was the way he loved my mother. Whenever someone asks me about my father, that's the first thing I tell them. And you know what's the last? He worked hard. He took us. I was interested in custard in those days. My father took me to West Point. My brother wanted to see Colorado. Boom, we went out to see the Grand Canyon. My twin brother wanted to play hockey. Boom, He got him the hockey stick. He supported our efforts. He gave the imagination I have, too, comes from my father, taking us to New York, okay, to show us the tree. Everything is bigger than life. There's a whole world out there, guys, he used to tell us. So who are you becoming? And by you becoming, you can impact someone's life. Gandhi says this. We've used this before. I used this in my mother's funeral. Be the change. There are people dying, not literally dying for what you can give them. My bereavement instructor, Phyllis, told me that 9 years ago when I said, who's going to go out with me? I can't see. She said, Tommy, there are women dying for what you can give them. So I thought I was insignificant. See, I can tell you all the time, boys and girls, in this show, I'm going to tell you that I'm not perfect. So be the change. Don't wait for someone else to do it. I love that quote. I use it over and over again. Be the change. Right? But I saw myself as, what am I going to do? And that's what a lot of us do. So there's people in this world that are just waiting for you to hand them the baton, as we used to say in track, and so you can run and run fast. All right? I love this quote. This is amazing. This is Rick Warren, and he's a Baptist preacher, American Southern Baptist. He says this, don't waste your pain. Use it to help others. Bing, bang, boom. Don't waste your pain. Are some of you in this room had pain in the last couple of years? Everyone's nodding. The guy in the back is not saying no. Even Stan's nodding, so is George. You've had pain, physical, emotional. Don't waste it. Use it. Share your pain with someone else's in pain. There's another great quote here by Perma Chalderon, and she says, we work on ourselves to help others, but we help others in order to work on ourselves. Boom. Don't waste your pain. You can help yourself and work on yourself when you're working with other people, when you're edifying other people, when you're giving people encouragement, when you're bringing pancakes in, right? All of those things are not insignificant. They're significant. You were created for a purpose. You're not here by accident, okay? You're here for a purpose. And that purpose is huge, even though you're not, Derek Jeter. That purpose is huge. And we can impact people's lives by just listening to them, finding out what they need, and loving them as we love ourselves. That's what that whole thing with Mark is all about. That's what we've been talking about all morning. Love your neighbor as you love yourself. If you love your neighbor as you love yourself, you'll know they need a ride. You'll know that they need someone to listen to. You'll know that they need edification. You'll know that their kid may need to get picked up after soccer because the mother's working. Not all about us. 2 Timothy tells us, stir a fire among them, right? And you stir something agitated. Stir a fire among people, especially the youth, right? Jock talks all the time. A lot of times young kids, they're into rap, which is fine. We don't have a problem with that. That's their thing. It's fine. But what Jock loves is some of these kids, they move from rap and they get into almost like the Motown sound. Jock loves that sound. And he says it's great because a lot of what he does with music is he accepts their generational thing, their rap tune stuff, and then through that, by loving them, by loving them as he loves himself, he gets them to see a whole different world in music that they wouldn't see. He doesn't stand there and say, do it this way. He invites them in. He understands them. He listens to them. He does what the plane thing does. He takes the air off the top of their wing, and then he supports it underneath. And he's done amazing things with young people with music. You have the ability to do the same thing. You have the ability to do the same thing. So don't let your pain be wasted. Share it with some other people, and so that you can help them get clarity in their life. Here's the takeaway, okay? And it's by Isabel Allen D. It almost sounds like Alaman, which is a call in Square Dance. Her name is Isabella Allen. There's a D-E at the end of her name, boys and girls, but I'm going to pronounce it Allen Day, I guess. I'm not sure. Here's the quote, though. We only have what we give. Bing, bang, boom. We only have what we give. What are you giving? I told you about the gift. This is the gift speaking on the radio. The gift, nothing that I did. This is a gift that God gave me for his purpose, not mine. But I don't have the gift of speaking if I keep my mouth shut. So I only have the gift when I give it. I only have when I give. You only have love when you give it. You only have peace when you give it. So whatever talents God gave you, you have those. You only have, as Isabel says, what you give. Whatever you give is truly what you have. And God has a plan for you and a purpose. You're not insignificant. There's no greater love than when one lays down his life for another. Greater love is this. You all can lay down your life for another. You all can make an impact. You all can be Father Mott. You may not hear the kids say it to you. You may not. I never went up to the priest and told Father Mott years later, hey, thanks. Doesn't matter. Does the ripple that hits the rock on the other side of the lake tell the log on the other side of the lake that it was the rock over here at the beach that caused that ripple? No, the ripple just hits the log on the other side of the lake. But it was the rock over here that caused that ripple. You be that ripple. You be that rock in me. And don't worry if the log doesn't know where the ripple came from. That's what true living is all about. We got a great song coming up, and I want to thank you all for joining me. I will be here next week. Remember the Father's Day extravaganza. Remember, either two things. You can still see Gene Rayburn and, what was his name? The guy that was on The Ghost of Mrs. Muir. It'll come to me. My father taught me blank, or my father loved blank. You got to fill in the blank. Okay? Dig a little deep. That's why I'm telling you today on Thursday. Think a little bit about your dad. Think about what he taught you. Okay? And share that with me so that we understood who your father became. Okay? When you die, there's two numbers on the stone. The numbers of when you're born and when you die, that's insignificant. What matters is the dash in the middle. That's what I want to know about your dad. That's what we're talking about today. Okay? To make a difference, use your pain, get underneath some people, help them to rise, and love your neighbor as you love yourself. All right, Jock, thank you for this. Stan, great job with the refreshments. George, I didn't mean to leave you with all the pencils and stuff, but great. George by the door, fantastic job. Hang around. Jock will be over to sign autographs. Friday Eve, enjoy the weekend. Move the coffee table. Jock, play the song.